Does your support team, your sales team, have the right tools to manage remotely what was used to be done physically? Is it simple to use? Does it protect your customer data? I would like to welcome Vib and his team that will showcase how a company can leverage on technology to maintain business as usual with great customer experience.
My name is Wiebe. I'm a partner director here at Servly. And one of the key things we try to do here at Servly is to enable digital interactions to improve your digital experience. Today, if we talk about Servly or Servly, however you want to pronounce it, we talk about co-browsing because that's the most clear thing we actually do. And thanks to people like Gartner, we are put in a corner with a stamp on our back called co-browsing, but we do much more. But if you compare to other major tools like the big providers like Genesys, Avaya, those kind of people, Pegasystems, most of those products are what we call embedded co-browsing. And that means that before you can co-browse, you need to do an integration job. You need to put JavaScripts on websites before you can get going. It will not support third-party contents or iframes. Performance is normally not that great. Like I said, the core of what we do is co-browsing. When we start a co-browsing session, everything from our perspective is starting. And it's secure, it's private, we only work within a browser, we don't need any downloads or things like that. But once we co-browsing, we just start a co-browsing session by sharing a link as an example. But within there, we can share a document. We can edit the document like an order form, and we even can e-sign the document. We can, of course, support video chat, and to be quite honest, a year ago, if you looked at our documentation, video was part of it, but not really high. We spent a lot of time and energy over the last year developing, improving our video capabilities, and I think we're almost there. We have a blazing performance. Probably the best example is going live with AXA with 1,000 agents within 2 weeks. We can switch control, we can mask fields and elements of websites, so social security numbers, personal data, login detail. We can mask that so an agent cannot see that. We do have an action log, although by default at Servly, we throw everything away at the end of a session, which makes us 100% privacy compliant. So from the first click to the last click, and especially in the combination with e-signature, we store everything there, so we are compliant. We monitor our systems, of course, do behavior control, so what an agent can or cannot do. We do white and blacklisting, so certain sites an agent cannot work on together with the customer. We can customize our user interface completely, especially partners like that, so they can hide Servly and make it look like their own tool. We can draw and annotate with a magic marker on the screen and show the customer where to go or which button to press, actually. We do integrate with a lot of different tools, and I think the best case I have personally seen the last year was one of the biggest banks in the Netherlands called ABN AMRO. And big banks especially are not well known for their flexibility in IT integration, but they did the integration with Salesforce themselves within 2 days. And that actually shows the power of Servly and how easy it is. And we are compliant on-premise, and still a lot of customers actually request that. We just signed up the largest insurance company in Japan, and they made it mandatory for us to go on-premise and, of course, to set up a full rack actually of servers.
So from in-person to digital, face-to-face is great and will most likely be valued, but going digital has its own benefits. It will likely eliminate some pain points. With the digital journey, it is no longer required to visit a branch or a customer, which of course means you save a lot of time. So what you can continue to do, even though you're no longer visiting a branch, but you can still provide the same personal experience. So you're still having the face-to-face meeting, discussing the policies, filling in forms, sharing identities, signing forms, and you can store this all within your own environment. So it's easy for agents and it's easy for customers. Agent sends a link, customer clicks, and the session begins instantly. And this is done on any device, mobile, desktop, iPad, or tablet. So agents can guide customers through the entire process of creating and finalizing policy across their own platform. Such as local, there are some requirements from governments. I mean, this is all seamlessly handled through co-browsing. Customers can also view PDFs, annotate, and sign, and they don't need to download any third-party software. AXA is a highly valued client of ours in Singapore. They're one of the world's largest insurers with over 160,000 employees in 57 countries, serving over 108 million clients. When agents and prospects and customers used in-person meetings, phone, email to complete a policy. and they had limited options to complete a policy remotely. During the in-person meeting, of course, they went through various steps, which is using multiple digital platforms on their own devices to complete a policy. And when in-person was not an option, they used to use Zoom. So why was face-to-face a choice of AXA in the first place? Because of course it's personal, feels trusted, and an agent would only leave or end the meeting once they had served the client the best way possible. But of course there's a few things, or many things, but one of the things that Zoom is not able to do it is not a collaborative environment, or not the same way that co-browsing is. So when it came to policy filling, signing, identification exchange, signature, that was not possible with Zoom. And of course, unfortunately, they had some bad press, which didn't help really the confidence of AXA Insurance. So your site with co-browsing is the collaboration platform. So any tab you would share would be the place where collaboration would take place. With screen sharing, you have to leave your site and download software. Next to that, you have to install the software to connect. And with co-browsing, you just have to click a button. So once you're invited, you click on the button and immediately a session is started. Co-browsing, you keep the data to yourself, whilst of course with screen sharing, there is a login and personal data that you need to provide. Also visibility, you work with a single browser tab, so your entire desktop is not shared. And that of course gives a lot of confidence to the end user. Also, it's a cooperative way of working. So you're browsing together as one. The video chat makes the interaction more personal, and all agents are authenticated, and the Surfly session is very secure. You can see the tab that is shared or opened during the session and nothing outside of it. So it's a very private experience. Surfly sessions with co-browsing are seamless and have low latency. So this, of course, advantages the speed there, and it's collaborative. So files can be shared, downloaded, annotated, and signed in real time. So essentially, their problem, which was to enable remote selling and keep it personal, well, this is the experience that we work together with them to create. So the experience is very close to that of a face-to-face meeting. So from idea to execution, once AXA had decided to use Surfly, they wanted to move fast. The great thing here is that Surfly technology could do exactly that. So AXA actually enabled over 1,000 agents to use Surfly within 2 weeks with a minimum of technical effort. Some support, of course. And Surfly's digital interaction technology enables agents and customers to browse digital properties together in a browser out of the box. No real integration is required to get yourself started up. Session data is never stored by Surfly. Customers don't provide their email or generate a password to start a session. So it's a very secure experience. And AXA captures an audit log of all the actions taken by the agent and the customer in a Surfly session. So AXA can actually use the audit logs to monitor agents, evaluate customer behavior, or discover other findings that might benefit their business long term.
Just before you move to another use case, we have
Sure.
a few questions. How long did it take to train the agents?
Actually, that was all handled quite fast. So what we'd actually done is worked on a guide together with AXA, which essentially meant that everybody could test for a period of 1 or 2 weeks, and then they were able to go live. And because there's no downloads required, it's a very natural process. So they're actually doing essentially what they would do face-to-face, but they're now doing it online. So the training was just a matter of making sure they felt comfortable and confident in this new environment, but the rest was seamless. So I would say maybe a week or 2 of training.
Yeah, actually, we have a lot of questions usually of people to start using video. Do I need to have specific people to use video, or does my agents look good on video? I think in the case of AXA, agents are really like sales agents, so they are used to do face-to-face.
That's
so
right.
For them, going on video was easy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's always an option. So if there is whether from the customer side or from the agent side, you can always turn the video off. So of course, it's the idea is to make it personal and more trusted, but the control is still with the sales agents and with the customers. And like you said, being sales agents, they were very used to already being prepared for meeting face-to-face. So the same kind of principles applied when they meet online.
So another question was, what challenges agents faced moving face-to-face meeting to video meeting? Do you have any particular challenges, anything that was discussed with AXA after the project?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a really good question, actually, because of course you have to test this across different browsers, and also Wi-Fi plays a role. So, there are certain things to consider. So some agents, might have struggled a little bit with the fact that, I'm having some Wi-Fi issues. And then we would tell them we actually implemented some changes, how they could test that in advance. So we actually changed a little bit the technology flow so that they could, prior to somebody joining, already test their video and audio. So that we had some advice which browsers were good. So it's all WebRTC browsers that work. But for example, Internet Explorer does not allow video or audio. So, in this case, it's something that the agents had to think about and also inform their customers about. So these were all learning experiences, definitely. Plus, we wanted to make sure that, when we say the experience is seamless, that the agents also experienced it that way. And we actually had a weekly call with AXA to make sure that, any kind of bugs or anything standing in the way of success was resolved together with us.
So maybe just a final question from me this time. Did AXA saw this project as a competitive advantage compared to other players? Did that really help them to drive sales and volumes? Any feedback on that from them?
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely a competitive edge, but more than that, it also enabled the kind of growth that they had planned for themselves anyway. So if you set yourself a target or a plan, by using co-browsing, nothing can stand in the way from that. So you can't say it's a hurdle that you were not able to achieve it because of the lockdown or because of not being able to have face-to-face meetings. So if anything, it enabled them to meet their targets, whatever targets those would be. So this one is actually for New York Life. And I understand that this is a customer outside of Singapore, but I think the journey is still relevant because it shows some of the flexibility of, depending on your own journey and own company goals, how you can actually create an architecture that fits your end goals with our technology. So what is it that New York Life wanted to achieve with the support flow? So that was with remote advisory. So that was actually, they wanted to also digitalize the customer experience. So they wanted to eliminate digital pain points, which is if you're browsing and you're stuck, how do you facilitate that in still a human manner? They want to do it securely. Authenticate advisors to make sure that, the customers felt trusted, that, okay, this is actually a New York Life agent and not somebody external. And they wanted to create trust by having, again, video chat enabled. Not all our customers choose video chat, but it is an opportunity to make it a more trusted experience. And they also wanted to monitor the sessions for various reasons. So this is actually the journey of New York Life, which is where the customer is actually already browsing on the website. A pop-up appears with a phone number, which they then call. And if the agent is not able to support them through the phone call, they will upgrade it to a co-browsing session. And they do that by sharing a 4-digit PIN. So when the agent joins the customer in this session, they can actually resolve the problem together. So this is a little bit of screenshots of what that looks like, because sometimes that helps to keep it a little bit more tangible. Here you can see this is actually a New York Life website. It's one of the companies that they facilitate, SCE, Pearl, and they have a help button on that website, which the customer would essentially click on. And as I mentioned before, they see a pop-up. This pop-up has a phone number, which they can then call, and they will be connected with an agent. This agent is already linked to Surfly, so they can actually move to a co-browsing session pretty fast. And as you can see, Advisor Co's here is available. So they would ask, do you want to start a co-browsing session? Can you provide me the PIN number? The customer is the leader and has control over the toolbar. So essentially, you see it a little bit here in the red. So when we start a co-browsing session, there's various things that you can do, such as file sharing, switching control, annotate, and turn your audio and video on and off. In this case, I'm just sharing a screenshot with you about the file sharing. So if you'd want to upload any documents, annotate, show, let's say, even folders which are specific to your company, that is all possible in their journey as well. They've actually also chosen to do element masking and field masking, which essentially means that if the customer is filling in private information, it is not visible to the agent. So the results here was that they wanted to see how they could improve the experience, as well as determine the ease of implementation. New York Life was able to fully layer Surfly into their support flow and create a seamless experience for both the agents and the customers. And actually, we've been testing this now with them for 6 months, and we're going to move to rolling out to 40 of their TPAs because it's just a very easy way to have control over how effective it is, how easily you can help customers, how effective that is, and monitor any kind of changes and improvements that you want within your company support flow. So the benefits of Surfly sessions, you can innovate at any point of the digital customer journey on your existing technology. You can recreate the in-person meeting experience with digital interactions, enable communication and collaboration on your own sites, portals, or apps without the needed tools of software. So that's reducing the complexity, and complete an entire transaction in a collaborative way from beginning to end. So from start to sign.
So I have one is the e-sign document legal binding, and could the video and audit logs be exported?
Yeah, it's legally binding because we do have an official timestamp in the audit log. By default, we don't record the video sessions by itself. There is a technical way to actually do that, but you need to have an on-prem setup, or you can use any third-party recording software there's available in the market. The audit log, yes, we can export it in any way or form.
Yeah, and this can be parsed, and you can pull in the information that is relevant for you as a company.
Correct.
Do you have any specific use case for healthcare?
Healthcare, yeah.
Clients come from a hospital.
Yes, we do actually have healthcare use cases, but the journey, I'm just trying to think, we have multiple use cases, but the use case I recently worked on or with a client was, again, more within the sport flow, which was assisting their patients that have questions and applying the same journey almost as New York Life.
Yeah, well, next to that, we got a few in the US with Kaiser Permanente and United Health Group, which is the second biggest one actually in the US. But we actually got a nice case in the UK as well with a company called Orion Pharma, where they actually like AXA are using Surfly to prevent their advisors to go to hospitals and doctors and use online sessions to discuss what's possible and the products needed and offered.
Yeah, actually here in Singapore, we often have a discussion around telemedicine, and as well around in terms of more on the admin work, all the onboarding, if you are going to a hospital for a specific operation or things like this, how to do all your paperwork, your onboarding, and doing the paperwork if you have an insurance and things like this. Here as Activeo, we are committed to continue to help organizations to work remotely, maintain productivity, deliver great customer experiences. And this partnership with Surfly for us have been very good over the last months. And we are a true believer that it totally makes sense with what we are doing. We have a lot of use cases we are currently discussing with many clients, and probably that's the reason why many of you have joined today. So thank you very much. Let's keep in touch. And if you have any question, feel free to reach out to us.